Hello and welcome to our English news edition coming to you from Canal, Algérie. First, to the headlines. On behalf of the President of the Republic, Supreme Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Minister of National Defense Abdelmajid Tebboune, the Army General Chief of Staff of the National People's Army Saïd Chinguereha chairs the official installation ceremony of Major General Mhenna Jabbar as new General Director of Documentation and External Security, replacing Major General Abdelghani Rashdi. The head of the Algerian diplomacy, Mtala Mamara, chairs in Bamako a meeting of the International Mediation Group on Mali devoted to the evaluation of the implementation process of the Agreement for Peace and Reconciliation Agreement in Mali stemming from the Algiers process. And La Mamara also meets with members of our national community settled in Mali. The personal envoy of the UN Secretary General for Western Sahara, Stéphane de Mistura, carries out a two-day visit to the Sahrawi refugee camps, a visit to the aim of which is to deepen consultations with the parties in the Western Saharan conflict. And in Atarf province, the compensation operation for the victims of the forest fires which recently hit the eastern provinces of the country has started as the farmers has benefited from a large quota of livestock. Good evening, those with today's top stories. First, our news, and on behalf of the President of the Republic, Supreme Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Minister of National Defense Abdelmajid Tebboune, the Army General Chief of Staff of the National People's Army Saïd Chinguereha chaired on Saturday the official installation of Major General Mhenna Jabbar as a new General Director of Documentation and External Security, replacing Major General Abdelghani Rashdi.
باسم السيد رئيس الجمهورية القائد الأعلى للقوات المسلحة وزير الدفاع الوطني ووفقا للمرسوم.
On behalf of the President of the Republic, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, National Defense Minister, and in accordance to the Presidential Decree of September 1st, 2022, I officially install Major General Mhenna Jabbar in the position of General Director of Documentation and External Security in succession to Major General Abdelghani Rashdi. Therefore, I command you to work under his authority and execute his orders and instructions for the interest of the service, in accordance to the military regulations and the Republic's laws, in loyalty to the sacrifices of the valiant Shuhada and the values of our glorious revolution.
وتخليدا للقيام ثورتنا المجيدة.
The Army General gave the executives and personnel of this department a set of instructions and guidelines via which he highlighted the need to double the efforts in order to preserve Algeria's interests. Later on, the Army General Chief of Staff of the National People's Army supervised the handover minutes approval ceremony. On Saturday, the head of the Algerian diplomacy, Mtala Mamara, chaired in Bamako a meeting of the International Mediation Group on Mali devoted to the evaluation of the implementation process of the Agreement for Peace and Reconciliation process in Mali stemming from the Algiers process. The meeting allowed an honest and transparent exchange on the progress made and the challenges that remain to be met by the Malian parties to achieve the objectives of the agreement. During this transition phase, the participants welcomed Algeria's key role in its dual capacity as leader in the international mediation and a country chairing the monitoring committee of the agreement, and also as a neighboring country firmly committed to leading the peace and reconciliation process to a successful conclusion. Still with the activities of the Foreign Minister Mtala Mamara, who met with members of our national community settled in Mali, the meeting allowed to discuss the grievances of the Algerians settled in Mali, their initiative to unite their efforts for the strengthening of the relations of good neighborliness, cooperation and solidarity between the two brotherly peoples. They also highlighted their ambition to further develop commercial exchanges via the facilitation of administrative and customs procedures in order to allow them to increase exports of the Algerian products in Mali. Our nationals warmly welcomed the imminent reopening of the Algiers-Bamako airline, as well as the other measures recently ordered by the President of the Republic, which undoubtedly have a considerable impact on the Algerian-Malian commercial exchanges. In a different context and as part of the fight against multi-faced crime, the territorial grouping of the National Gendarmerie in Serif province dismantled elements of a criminal network of 12 members operating in several provinces of the country. They also seized 5 quintals of cannabis. Let's have a listen.
Within the framework of the fight against criminality, we proceeded to dismantle the criminal network composed of 12 members aged between 26 and 60 years old, active in several provinces of the country, specialized in drug trafficking. We've received an information affirming that a large amount of drugs will cross the borders via a vehicle coming from the west of the country headed to the east. The vehicle was apprehended and a large amount of drugs was discovered. Following the investigation, 12 members have been arrested. 5 quintals of cannabis were seized alongside a number of vehicles and motorcycles used for the transportation of drugs. The members arrested were submitted in front of the prosecutor of the Republic, territorially competent.
In other news, the personal envoy of the United Nations Secretary General Staffan de Mistura is carrying out a 2-day visit to the Sahrawi refugee camps, an opportunity to reinforce consultations and find a solution to the Sahrawi cause. More insight with Midisa Kubash.
During his visit to Sahrawi refugee camps, the personal envoy of the United Nations Secretary General Staffan de Mistura met a number of leaders of Sahrawi organizations with the aim of strengthening consultation with all concerned parties so as to find a solution to the Sahrawi file. De Mistura also met with the Sahrawi Prime Minister and discussed different questions related to the Sahrawi cause, knowing that the special envoy have previously met with the Sahrawi delegation in charge of negotiation.
وكان اللقاء فرصة لتأكيد موقف السلطات الصحراوية.
The meeting was an opportunity to reiterate the position of the Sahrawi authorities and that of the Polisario when it comes to resolving the Sahrawi cause in a legal frame, following its importance in the Sahrawi file considered as a decolonization question.
يؤطر قضية الصحراء الغربية كقضية تصفية استعمار بما يعني ذلك من ضرورة الاحترام الكامل لحق الشعب الصحراوي.
Nations' mission also included the Sahrawi women who marked their presence during the series of meetings.
The United Nations envoy listened to the Sahrawi women who demanded the organization in Western Sahara a self-determination referendum so as to allow the Sahrawi people to express their willingness to gain independence.
The personal envoy of the UN also visited the headquarters of the Youth Union in Saqit al-Hamra and Wad al-Dahab following an exhibition held there. While waiting for de Mistura's detailed report to be delivered to the Security Council next month, the Sahrawi people remain loyal to their just cause and are determined to snatch their independence.
إذن نحن نمد يدا للسلام ولكن في نفس الوقت يدنا على الزناد.
We are fully committed to peace and will continue to defend our legitimate rights, namely that of self-determination and independence.
And the compensation operation for the victims of the forest fires, which recently hit the eastern provinces of the country, has started. The farmers of the province of Ataraf benefited from a large quota of livestock, a first step to help them resume their activities as soon as possible. Story by Ines Killo.
After the census operation of the affected victims of the fires in the northeast part of the country, livestock farmers received substantial aid to compensate for the losses they suffered. The operation began in Ataraf province, where thousands of hectares of forest were completely destroyed. It should be mentioned that the scale of the livestock losses is considerable.
We thank the public authorities for their quick compensation. All the farmers are in the process of recovering what they have lost. We have recovered what we lost, and we thank everyone for the help they gave us.
The follow-up is ensured by agents of the different agricultural services of the province. The aim is to allow farmers and stock breeders to resume their activities thanks to the help and support of the state.
Today we have granted 70 sheep and 31 goats for 23 beneficiaries. Of course, the operation will continue with a large quota for everything from sheep and goats to fruit trees and poultry.
اليوم نشرف على بداية انطلاق هذه العملية.
We are here today for the launch of the compensation operation, which initially concerned 131 victims. 826 livestock have been distributed. The operation will continue in the next following days.
The first operation should be followed by several other operations in the coming days and will concern all the victims of the fires.
A sign of a tacit but not assumed recognition, Morocco has always participated in international events in the presence of the President of the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic, a fact that Ines Kalou reminds us with.
A picture that made the headlines on November 29, 2017, in which we can see the King of Morocco a few steps away from the President of the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic, Brahim Ghali. To better understand this photograph, it is necessary to highlight some established facts. Morocco had joined the African Union, accepting the presence of the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic, which is a founding member. The Moroccan monarch had participated in the European Union-African Union Summit in Abidjan in 2017, in which the President Brahim Ghali has taken part and who was seated a few meters from the king, just as the monarch participated in the EU-AU Summit in Brussels in the presence of the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic. Another sign of recognition of the Rust, President Brahim Ghali had delivered a speech in the Ethiopian capital Addis Ababa as President of the Rust, and this happened in the presence of the Moroccan delegation, another recognition that the Rust is a republic in its own right. Moreover, its president is received in the largest capitals of the world, always in the presence of Rabat as a guest. These numerous international bear witness to the emphatic recognition of the existence of the Rust, and it is not only public appearance of these two leaders that can attest to this. This document, for example, clearly states that all countries that want to join the AU must recognize the member states, including the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic. The Moroccan approach, which this time targeted Tunisia, reflects the erratic behavior of a diplomacy that has lost all credibility.
And in a communique issued by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Algeria welcomes the appointment of Abdoulaye Bathily as a new UN envoy to Libya and head of the UN support mission in the country. The President of the Republic welcomes this decision and reiterates his full support. He also congratulates the UN Secretary General for this wise decision, as well as the UN Security Council for its approval. The President of the Republic also expressed his satisfaction to his brother Macky Sall, the Senegalese president and head of the African Union, for honoring one of the righteous sons of Senegal and Africa via assigning them to lead the peace mission in Libya. And after months of vacancy, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres appointed the Senegalese diplomat Abdoulaye Bathily as a UN envoy to Libya. The appointment of a new envoy was expected at a time when the UN is about to organize an inner Libyan mediation that will eventually allow the holding of elections. Moving on to Palestine, where the collective of Palestinian detainees announced on Saturday the death of the detainee Musa Harun Abu Muhammad, who was detained in the jails of the Zionist occupier. The death is due to a policy of health neglect adopted by the occupation forces against Palestinian prisoners. It is worth recalling that 1,000 Palestinian detainees started this Thursday a hunger strike as a first step in a series of protests against the Zionist practices, and as a reminder, the number of Palestinian detainees in the occupation prisons is about 4,550. And with this, our today's news edition comes to a close. Thank you for joining us.